Hello, Ray's back. Well, tonight is this is Friday, Friday 11th of July, and yeah, this is a monumentous day because I am now nailing on, or have indeed started to nail on the first plank. Bit tentative at the moment, just sort of feeling my way in, but you know, and anything new takes a little while just to get into the groove. I'm soaking the wood here, not because this needs to be shaped much. It will be when I get down the end, but just because wet wood is a lot less likely to split than dry wood. And because we have been having this pretty unbelievable spell of hot weather, everything is bone dry. So yeah, so I'm doing that as a safety measure really, and anywhere like near the end of the plank I'm pre-drilling, because otherwise it will split quite easily, particularly with these copper tacks, because they have a really sharp point, but then they've got quite a fat body, so obviously they're, you know, prime candidate for splitting wood, so we need to be careful. Anyway, let's nail a couple of bits on and see how we go. So I'm just making sure that the plank is in the right place. Sorry if I'm being too obvious, but you know, sometimes it's just worth mentioning things, isn't it? For my sake, if nobody else's. So I'm holding quite a heavy hammer underneath, which basically is acting as an anvil, and taking it nice and steady. There's no prizes for banging it away hard, so let's take it easy. Like so. So I'm just moving my wet cloth down so it's soaking the wood as I go. So this is where, had you have made the full form, fully planked with the metal bands at this stage, you could just bang these nails in, and that you wouldn't need to do this. It would automatically turn them over. But then on the flip side, you would be left with a massively heavy, solid form, fully nailed together. And what you got to do with it? So, you know, if you're banging these out every month or so, then fine. But if it's a one-off, don't really need it, I don't think. So this is what I've done. So pattern of three, so obviously one right in the middle, then these two just in from the edge on all of them, so that will leave us a nice pattern underneath. But also the way they're spaced, that minimises the chance. If you have the nails in line, obviously there's much more chance of splitting the wood. So on the next one, I shall go in the middle, and I'll just carry that on as we go around, and that should be fine. So I'm going to carry on nailing. You can see where the wood is now. It's all nicely wet, and you can see that one. It's just got a small gap there, so that just needs to be pushed just to there, and its gap's gone. So Hello again. As you can see, I'm still on the planking. It's just gone lunchtime on Saturday, and I've been out here since about 9:30. I did 1.5 planks last night just to work out to see how things were going to go, and today so far I've done a few. I'm now fitting the 4th plank. This will, I think, will be the last one, because when you follow this through to the very end, that's almost to the bottom of the stems. So that'll be the last one there, and then I'm going to have to, there's a system which is called goring, where you taper planks to fill this mid sections in with. I'll have to show that to you in more detail in a little while, because until I get this right on and I've cleared the decks, this will be very difficult to see. But for sure that's going to be quite time consuming, as is this, because I'm having to wet each one. You're carefully trying to mould it into position, try not to split the wood. Obviously there's a bit of bending and forcing involved, but this is why I'm wetting it, and then very carefully nailing it. But it's gone out okay. I've had a couple of 3 little splits, but nothing that a little bit of wood glue won't sort out. So yeah, you have got to be pretty careful during this stage. But I'm going to crack on, get this 4th one on in its entirety, and then I'll bring you back and we'll have a look then. Oh, hello. You caught me in the middle of fitting this score plank in. As you can see, it's getting there, but it does require a little bit of manipulation. Got some very nice shavings. Well, let's have a look. Let's show you what's been happening, shall we? So, as you can see, we've now got four planks fitted, and if you squint just in your right eye, you can almost see a canoe emerging. So these are on now. Obviously at this end it looks a right bloody mess, but clearly you can't fit any of these until afterwards. So if I move back a bit, these will all move up into the right position, but they will require quite a bit of wetting and steaming for that to happen, which I can't do at the moment, because I need to get this off the mould in order to do that. So let me get far enough away so that you can see properly. Yeah, so although it looks a mess on the last rib here, they're all even, and they're not too bad at all actually. Obviously the outside is going to have to be just sanded off. Looks a bit rough this side, but I doubt we can see much, but if we can see inside. The short ribs I was talking about are fitted, four of them. So you can see just in that section where I'm going to be standing, as I've already said countless times, so no need to repeat that. And you can see them there. So that'll be good. Now what's happened, because the canoe is curved, you can see that the planking goes round in a huge arc. Now obviously this is not really intended for people who know how to build canoes and do build them, so I'm not trying to teach anybody how to suck eggs. But for the benefit of my viewers who don't know about canoe building, you have to try and fill that middle gap in. You can see the ends are within a plank of the inner gunnel, and we need to fill the middle in so that that is the same. So in order to do that, you do this which is called goring. So you can see that I've made that curved, and the idea is that you fit that in there, and then when you've done that one, you do another one, and then you do another one, and by the time you've got 3 of those on, we'll have to reassess it, but after that we can probably come in with a straight one, and then we should be somewhere in the right ballpark. So that's where I'm up to thus far. For the moment I'm just trying to crack on. It's now approaching 5 o'clock, and there's a few things to slow me down. There's half ribs for a start, because I had to shape all those again, cut them to length. I had to steam them as well, just to get this tight curve here. And they still just need a bit of pressure on the ends, which I can do once I've got a couple of gore planks on. And have I done anything else? I don't think so. I have jiggled another couple of these at that end, which are still just causing me a bit of problems. But other than that, no, it's been quite plain sailing. Apart from fitting the planks is quite a slow job, and you know, now on the outside it doesn't really matter what it looks like, but it does on the inside, so we have got to be careful. So I'll see you tomorrow. Morning, right here, not that one. Well, today's Sunday morning, and as you can see, yesterday went reasonably well. I started the first plank in a bit on Friday night, and then yesterday I managed to plank the rest, stem to stem, and I've got 3 goring planks cut and fitted, and that's where I'm going to leave it on this side for now. It needs 2 more planks here, and then there's 1 to go in here, and there's some smaller ones beneath it, which is pretty typical. But yeah, it's looking pretty reasonable. Got a couple of crack bits or little splits. I've got a little split here. Don't quite know why that happened, because everything else went really well, so I'm gonna have to cut that and replace that little section. But yeah, so it needs to pick over, but generally it's not looking too bad at all. The end's looking a mess, but that's how they are for now. So yeah, I'm gonna get this bumped over, and then we're gonna start on the other side. But it is looking more and more like something that might float and actually slip through the water quite nicely. We live in hope. So you can see on the hyperlapse I've been making an adjustment or two on this section here. Just how to reshape this one and this one here particularly. The others aren't too bad. So this is looking, yeah, this is looking fairly good actually. So I'm gonna put a new piece of sandpaper on my block, do a bit more sanding. Then I've just got the forward most and rearmost ribs just to fix on. Cut out the notches for the ones to be fitted afterwards, as the other side. I think we're nearly ready to start planking, which is quite exciting. So it'd be nice to get a few planks on the day. Just having a bit of fun with the half ribs here at the moment. They just do not want to seem to stay in the shape I want them to stay in, which is rather annoying. But I'm just having another go with them. And yeah, other than that, I think that's about it so far, really. Yeah, so I think we'll just finish with coffee and crack on. So I'll see you guys later. And then we are getting somewhere very close. Obviously I have lots of stages of getting very close. There's getting very close, then there's getting very close, and then there's really getting close, and then finally I think we're close enough. Hello, I'm back again. Right, here we are. This is close of play Sunday evening. It's about 6:30. I've been at a long while. I think I've had enough, and it's now started to rain, as you can probably see. But it's been a good day. I've now got 4 planks on this side as well. So that's now ready for the goring plank stage, which I can fiddle those around during the week. Probably tomorrow. So, because that shouldn't now I've done one side, it shouldn't take too long. And yes, so then I've just got to decide on whether I've got to put one more plank on. I probably will. I'll probably fit one plank here and maybe just one full plank beneath those on both sides. Then it's going to be coming off the strong back, so that'll be a fairly monumentous day. Get it off, spin it over, and see what it looks like. Hopefully that all holds together. So yeah, that's going to be it's going to be quite something actually. So. So I've marked it, cut it down roughly with a utility knife, a Stanley knife, and I've finished it off with a plane. Now it's a case of just trying it to see how it's going to fit and make small adjustments as required. Looks quite fiddly, but actually it's not too bad. The hardest thing is you've got to bear in mind that it will, as you bend it down, it will curve, so you have to try not to take off too much to fit it dry, because then it'll be sloppy when you wet it and bend it. So you've got to try and curve it, push it down, and then see what it looks like. And this bit is worth obviously taking a bit of time with it. I think we can probably just about go with it now. So I'll fix it in the middle, and then we'll wet it. And then we'll see how it goes. So this is boiling water. So you must wet the wood, and heat it, and then it will start to shape. Obviously within reason, you don't want to force it, but you know, you're going to have to apply some pressure. Right, so once we've done that bit, I'll move the rag to the next section. And that'll be wetting that piece ready. I wonder if I take my copper vitamins this week. Not too bad for half an hour's work. That's the hardest one. The next one will be much easier. what I'm using to mark these boards is I'm clamping them on to mark each end and the full board in the middle, and I'm using that, which this is just an old saw guard, but you can use anything. So I push that up the inside until that touches on the bottom of the board, and then mark on this side. Simple but effective. Another top tip: sometimes you have to help it because it goes up the board too far, it misses. So I'm just using one of these little pointy offcuts just to locate it. Hello, this is Monday evening, and I've finished doing all the goring planks on this side all the way through. So this side is now exactly the same as the other side. So we've now reached the monumental stage where I'm going to have to try and get this canoe off the strong back, because all of these side pieces will be much easier fitted once the canoe is removed, for many reasons, and that's fairly typical. But because I've got all those ribbons there in the way of me really sort of clinching the tacks, it's making it a bit awkward. So for that reason alone, this is the time to remove it. So I don't quite know how it's going to go. I've undone one or two clamps, so I'm going to probably set this up now and see if I can get it off. And it's in a small matter of, can I lift it? There's quite a lot of shavings on the floor, so hopefully I've shaved enough wood off, make it light enough. So we'll soon find out. So I'm going to set the camera up and give that a go. So fingers crossed. Yes, she's a bit tight in places. Right, make sure I haven't inadvertently put any fixings somewhere I've forgotten about. Oh, starting to come loose. Right, so that's loose. So what's happening at the ends here? It doesn't seem to want to come off there, so... Right, that one's loose. Alright, I think there might be a... It's just a bit tight on the stems, I think. Just release those. Obviously much easier to fall back on than it is to come off. Right, Now we might be somewhere near it. No idea how heavy that's going to be, but I guess we'll soon find out. Oh, wow. Wow. Right, we can just rest things there for a bit. Wow. It's off. It's off. It hasn't fallen apart yet. I told you it was going to be lower in the water. Look at that. Yes. But obviously, the side cycles come up to here, so yeah, and nice little turn up at the ends. Everything is obviously all over the place now, so I'm going to have to clamp it all together and put a brace in the middle. But essentially, that is it. So let's have a look inside. So I got all the ribs. You see all the decks underneath, all the planks underneath, and these are all the strengthening ribs I put in. And that's the front. So, wow. It's a nice big long stem there. So yeah, that's looking quite tidy. So we'll get this all picked up. So yeah, I'm going to clamp this up now, get everything back where it should be, and then I'll see about getting rid of this. I'm going to have to break that down and do something with that because that's in the way now. So now I can just have this here, and I'll make some supports so I can now turn it up. I can nail on the side here and hold the hammer on the back. It'll be so much easier, and I'll be able to work on the canoe with the flat side up, so when it comes to putting the hot water on, that will be loads easier as well. So there we have it. Right, see you later. Welcome back. Yeah, as you can see, and previously I lifted the canoe up the strong back, so it's now sitting here in a cradle quite happily. It's quite nice. So I've done a couple of things since then. Just undo that. So I've actually now positioned the stems, and I've cut a little notch in the top of the stem here. I marked these positions while it was still on the strong back, so I knew exactly where it was. And I've just cut a little notch on each side, and I have actually pinned this end, and I put a dab of glue on as well, just to hold it securely. And I've done the same the other end, apart from I haven't pinned it yet, but I will be doing it shortly. So now we've got these are now picked up quite nicely, and they're in the right position, he said confidently. Yes, so I did this last night. The other thing I was trying to do last night is I was trying to get these cant ribs bent, these little cant ribs which have got a slot in here, because at the moment all the slot is flapping around in the breeze, and I need to get those forward ribs in, so I've got something to pin this to, basically, because then I can close up these gaps in between the boards and actually clinch it with some nails. That's what I'm working towards. Last night, after I'd done the stems, it was getting on a bit, because I had a haircut last night. Can you tell? Nice and shorter. Yeah, so I lost a bit of time, but that said, I thought I'd be able to do these cant ribs last night, and I had my pot of boiling water going, and I'd left these in there for quite a long time, and I tried to bend around, but yeah, they weren't really playing ball, and in the end it was quite miserable here last night. We had quite a bit of rain on and off, and it was starting to get dark, so I thought sod it. So I left it till tonight, and tonight I've had the steamer going, and I've steamed these for a good hour, and they've still been really hard. I can't get them in their positions that they need to go into. So what I've actually done now is I've actually forced them against the furthest two ribs which are already here. Now that probably means they'll be overbent, which is a good thing, because if they're overbent, it's much easier to relax the bend than it is to to make it sharper. So that's what I've done. So I've just literally just done this right now. Yeah, forced them down, a couple of clips holding them back, and these ones hold them down at both ends. So I'm going to have to leave them now to set overnight, and hopefully tomorrow night. Tomorrow is Thursday, which means I'm going to have another short night, because I want to try and get a video out for Friday. So yes, so if these go really, really well, then I might get them in. But basically, once they're in, I can fix all of this. Then I'm down to planking the sides of the canoe. I mean, this is all fairly obvious stuff, really, but I measured the positions on here before it came off a strong back, so that string, I'll have to just double check it because that may have relaxed a bit, but that's basically holding these together in the correct position. And the important one is in the middle. So I've got that piece of ash is cut the exact length, and that's clamped together with that. And the back is again is held with string. But now these are on. You can see now that's now secured, so that's holding these in a fairly good position anyway. And what I've done is, as I say, it's hard to really see it here, I've notched that out, so these are sitting on a notch. Now I've got a choice here. When the time comes, I can either just cut this off flush. The tops of these in Wales will need sanding anyway, so I can just cut that off flush and sand it in and leave it exposed. What I do at the front here at the moment, I've got a few options. I can leave these a bit longer, but I'll have to decide on where the outwales come as to what I do, because the front will be sort of a bit more chunky than the other canoe because of the way the canvas goes on. So I may leave those overhanging, or I might cut them off. That we'll have to wait and see. The other option I've got with this is I could be with a small file in there, or Dremel, or what's the most similar tool. I could reduce the height of that stem slightly, and when I put the deck on, I could just run the deck over top and hide it. So there's two options to do. What I was going to do, if I find a tape measure, right, what I'm thinking of having here, because I quite like this feature at the front, is I'm looking at having decks that are 18 inches long. So that means the decks will come 18 inches from the nose right back to here. So that's where the decks will end. So it'll give me quite a nice deck, and I think that's 7 inches will cover it. And I'll put a bit of detail on the front. And what I'm thinking at the moment is, timber wise, because I haven't had much joy getting any other timber that I particularly want, so I think I've got some ash left, I've got some American black walnut, and I need to go and pick up one more length of cedar, because I'm not quite going to have enough cedar, which is actually it's a lot closer than I thought it would be, but I am going to need some more cedar. So I think what I'm going to do with the decks is, so it'll be ash in the middle, then black walnut each side, then cedar each side of that. And as you can see, that's going to have to be fairly well curved. Yeah, so we're going to have that amount of curve. So I'll have to make the decks quite thick, and then yeah, scallop them out basically, top and bottom. So that'll be a bit of work, but I think it'll be a nice feature. So yeah, other than that, I'm pretty pleased with the inside. I've had a fairly good look at it now. I've still got to do a lot of clinching with the nails because a lot of these positions there was things in the way, so I couldn't get to them all very well. So that I shall take care of when I start putting the rest of these boards on. There's only really now 2 more boards to come on, and virtually everywhere now 2 boards. And they're going to stop short here anyway, because they always stop short because the canvas goes up to there. Then the outwile, which will be quite a lot deeper but not so wide, will then cover all of that. Now they have to be rebaited, so there's going to be a little bit of fiddly work to do there, but generally it's not looking too bad. So when I get that all on, I'll then give the go over all these nails, clench them all. I'll then probably turn it upside down and give it a good old wet, I think, and just let it all settle down a bit. And then when that's dried, I'll be ready for a sand, check over, and then I think we're looking at canvas. So, but I'm going to put the decks on before I canvas it, just so it's got the right shape. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll leave it for here, and we'll have a quick look tomorrow before I dive in and start editing. So see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello there. Just a very quick Thursday night update. And yeah, the cant ribs, as I bent them on these ones here and here, and yeah, they were overbent, but they straightened out really easily. So they're now tacked in position at the front and at the back. So they're all in. So I can now ready to start. I'm not going to do it now because there's not enough time to get all the water hot and everything else. But tomorrow night I'm going to start sorting out these remaining planks at the front and the back, get those all in position, and hopefully over the course of the weekend I can get this fully planked in, in its entirety. So I'm going to nip down to the wood yard in the morning, just pick up another bit of cedar, and that's all got to be cut and stripped and planed. So there's a bit to do, but if we have a good weekend, hopefully this will be complete. So there we are. It's the last look at it till next week. But yeah, she is looking mighty fine at the moment, so that's all good. So enjoy your weekend, and I will speak to you next Friday. Bye for now.